Hello friends, James Stevenson here with a fresh video about cumulative revenue. Why is it universally acknowledged as the best business metric for anyone to look at on a chart or a graph or a graphic visualization? Have I got your attention yet? Well, I got a lot of people's attention last week as I check in with Loki. Oh, I caught him just in time to get that great yawn on camera. Buddy, that was awesome. That was great timing. Okay, let me share my desktop with you. I'll slightly adjust the Loki Cam here so you don't miss out on further cuteness from my Chihuahua Loki here. Some people call him a cat. He's a dog. Chihuahuas are dogs, not cats. I don't feel like I should have to explain that to people, but sometimes I do have to explain things to people that I thought they wouldn't have known. Here's another such example. I sent this tweet captioning it simply, hashtag Tesla seems okay to me. Hashtag Tesla is how I've hashtagged, I don't know, 1,000 tweets before this one. But as you see down here under the views line, I got 5 million views on this chart here, which is just showing Tesla's cumulative revenue for every quarter, every year, up through the current day, right? So you can see for every quarter, how tall was the stair step added by the most recent quarter. So if you want this to not be cumulative, it's very easy. All you do is you chop off where the previous quarter was, and you ignore the rest of the bar that happens below that. And it's a stair step chart, and it shows you every quarter worth of revenue non-cumulatively. I think a lot of people aren't capable of doing that in their heads. Let's scroll down. Well, I guess I should show you this first. So I had to reactively message an important point here. I made this explainer for those observing that revenue can't be negative, so the number can only go up. All right, Sherlock. Okay, geniuses. Yes, cumulative revenue will go up by some amount or another, but do you care how much? You should. You should care how much it goes up by. And you can see it by looking. If you look at the chart, you can tell. So here's me retweeting myself saying, it has come to my attention that many of you do not know how to read the curve of a cumulative chart. I'm here to help, friends. I spent the morning making this explainer visualization for you. Let me know what questions you still have. All right, so how do you know when you're reading a cumulative revenue chart if it's good or if it's bad, if the trend is positive or if the trend is worrisome? Well, if the revenue is the same every quarter, like if it's 25 units, I haven't labeled this as being anything specific. I mean, you could think of it as being billions of dollars if you want. Tesla did report $25.5 billion in the most recent quarter, which was an all-time record. That's the 25th time out of the past 40 quarters, Tesla has broken their all-time record for quarterly sales. As I said in another post with the same chart that was also replied to by Elon Musk, we'll see his reply here in just a minute, along with a few others. So this is what you see. You see a straight line trend passing through the top middle of each of these bars. That's the straight line trend that you see anytime revenue is always the same. 25, 25, 25, 25, and you get a straight line. With me so far? All right. What if revenue were growing every quarter? What if it started from a small amount, like 5, and then grew to an amount like 15, and then grew to an amount like 45, and then grew to an amount like 100? Well, this curve shows you what you would get passing through the top center of each of those bars. You would get a curve that goes towards the vertical. That's what I have noted down here. Trend curves towards vertical. All right. What if revenue were falling? What if every quarter revenue was worse sequentially than it was the quarter before? Well, if it started at 45 and then it went to 75, which is not as good as going to 90, which would have been a straight line, right? And then it goes to 95, and then it goes to 99. Well, the curve would bend the other way. So the curve can bend this way, which is good, This is a virtuous curve telling you, hey, there is revenue growth here. You can tell at a glance by the shape of the curve composed of these bars. It's curving towards the vertical. That means revenue is growing every quarter. Or in general, revenue has been growing across this data set. But if revenue is falling, you see the curve go in the opposite direction. It slows down and it bends towards the horizontal. If it bends the other direction, that's bad news. If it bends this direction, that's good news. Got it? All right. Hope all of you are with me. Elon Musk knows how to read the trend of a cumulative chart. He replied, trend is good. And he's right. The trend is good. Tesla keeps breaking quarterly revenue records more than half the time when Tesla reports revenue. Over the past 10 years, it's been an all-time quarterly record. That's pretty good. Most companies don't manage that. I replied, could be way better if more people knew how great Teslas are and how affordable they've become. This is me trying to elbow Elon Musk to spend more money on creating great advertising campaigns and doing great media buying of places where you can reach viewers who believe EV myths. There's still a lot of people out there who think EVs will never work. They'll never catch on. They're not better. They pollute more. You can't drive a long distance if you're in one. You can't drive them through a car wash. They're worse for the environment than gasoline cars are, right? All those myths could be dispelled one at a time with a clever commercial campaign, the way Apple dispelled all the myths about Macintosh computers with their "Hi, I'm a Mac and I'm a PC" commercial campaign, extremely successfully a long time ago. Funny, informative, memorable ads are great at dispelling misinformation, and I think Tesla should do more of it. Here's one of the reasons this tweet got 5 million impressions. It's Derek Guy, who is, I don't know if that's a real name. Maybe it's a real name. It's lowercase. I mean, maybe that's a stylistic choice from a menswear writer, Derek Guy, who admittedly came up with a pretty good humorous take on cumulative, writing a book called How I Made My First Million by Age 35, earning $59,000 per year cumulative revenue. All right, touche. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good joke. So he got 17,000 likes on that reply, which is a lot of likes to get. 1 million people follow Derek Guy. So not all that surprising that he was able to bring a little more attention to a tweet Elon Musk had already commented on. A lot of folks are just trying to put a pie in the face of Elon Musk, I think. So a few emotions, I think, met at the confluence here. That was one of them. This is a pretty solid joke from a pretty beloved account. And I can't find much to fault it for. I mean, that's a great attack vector for somebody posting cumulative revenue. Okay, fine. It does have value, though. This is not a meaningless chart, and that's what everybody was replying, saying. I think the other contributing factor here is that people felt as though I was trying to trick them into believing that every quarter had been a record high quarter for the past 10 years, because people are used to seeing charts that are not cumulative. So at a glance, somebody who isn't paying attention and didn't read the 5 words that I put on this chart, Tesla Cumulative Revenue since founding, they might think that I had been trying to pull a fast one on them, and that feeling of having almost been tricked into believing something that isn't true is a very powerful motivator for people to leave mean comments. So you can see some of those here. I replied, hey, Derek, have you ever explained why women look good in bowler hats, but men look good in bowling shirts? So there's Liza Minnelli in Cabaret wearing her bowler hat, and here's a guy in a bowling shirt. He did not reply to my comment, but a bunch of other people did, saying mean stuff. I'm not sure it's all family appropriate either, so I'll leave that one out. Oh, the other reply that I gave him was Tesla's book would be called How I Made My First $30 Billion by age 20 from a cumulative $380 billion revenue. So Tesla has made over $30 billion worth of profits. A lot of folks also thought, hey, James is only showing us revenue because Tesla loses money. Well, Tesla used to lose money, which is what this animated chart shows you of cumulative net income since IPO. Why is this cumulative? Because retained earnings is cumulative. There's no such thing as quarterly retained earnings. Retained earnings is a balance sheet item. It's only changing from one amount to another every quarter, and the amount that it changes by is whatever amount net income changed by. So retained earnings increases if you made GAAP net income, and retained earnings decreases if you posted a GAAP loss. So here's a representative comment, right? So here's somebody who thinks they're very clever saying, cumulatively, I'm 666 years old. And this is not as good a joke as the one from Derek Guy, right? This joke only makes sense if you don't think about it. If you do think about it, age is cumulative. How many years old are you? If you're 35 years old, you say, I'm 35. You don't say I'm 35 plus 34 plus 33 plus 32 plus 31 plus 30, etc. That wouldn't make any sense. Every year you get 1 year older. You get 1 year older every year. If you're 35, the year before you were 34, how much time has passed since last year? 1. So your cumulative age increased by 1 from 34 to 35. I hope this makes sense to everybody. This joke got a lot of likes, but is not true. No, cumulatively you were 35 because each year you only got 1 year older. That's the real answer. One of those jokes was not appropriate. I haven't screened all of these. Maybe I'll just keep going. Yeah, Derek is pretty funny. He's a funny guy. I hope I've showed enough respect here for Derek Guy and his pretty clever joke. This is funny. It's always funny when you see a Simpsons still image that bears some resemblance to a chart that you just posted. Yeah, it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same. But in the case of disco record sales, the cumulative sales would have curved and gone the other direction, right? Because disco albums stopped doing well after 1976. Maybe some people have been selling disco albums over the past couple of decades, but probably this curve has leveled off and made it to almost horizontal. It'll never get all the way to horizontal unless there's a complete zeroing of disco albums. But that's how you would know how to read that cumulative chart. When the curve was bending up, disco sales were growing every year, and when the curve bends the other way, disco sales were declining from where they had been in prior years. And that may be a good place for me to end this video. It's probably long enough. Right, Loki? Loki has buried his head trying to sleep over there. Poor little guy is tuckered out. It's been a long day. And with that, I will remind you to click the like button if you liked this video. That will let other people who may like this video know to watch the video. That's how algorithms work. So if you're on YouTube, that's the thumbs up. If you're on X, that's the heart button. And I especially appreciate everyone who supports me or subscribes to me. You can get info on how to do that in my description. And I'll leave a link to this post in the video description. And special shout out to my 2 executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com, and I'll see you in the next one.